Okay, in the previous tutorial we set up Examp and our virtual hosting server, and then we created a simple web page to display the text Hello World. So let's break this down a little bit further. Because Examp is running, green on Apache, on port 8080, we were able to create a web page in Notepad++ and save it in our Kangoo projects under project 001 index.html. So why is that relevant? This is what you need to learn. Project 001, the reason we created this folder is because if you are creating a website, every single thing that you create for that one website should be in its own folder. If you're going to create a secondary website, you'd create a new folder and call it whatever you want, like Project 002. Okay, and this is how you're going to be able to quickly create multiple websites without having to do any configuration. Because simply going back to localhost 8080, now you can see we have Project 001 and 002. So let's take a look deeper into the code here and how this works. But actually, before we do that, let me show you why it's so important that this is running. So let's say we stop the service, and you can stop and start this at any time. It doesn't affect anything. But watch what happens when I refresh the page. Notice that the browser is trying to find it and it can't, and oh, we get the unhappy face. This web page is not available. That's the core fundamental of this application. It allows us to run our local server. So always make sure that this is started, has gone green, and look at that. Right away, it comes right back. I can refresh. I can now go back to localhost, and I can display the information. Now, why is it that when I click on this, this shows up like a web page, but on that new folder I created, this shows up? Well, it's pretty simple, and let me explain it. If you remember in the previous tutorial, I had you copy this code verbatim and name it index.html. And then we placed it inside Project 001. That's the fundamental concept behind websites. The first page that loads is typically called index.html. So when you're designing your websites, the home page, the front page that you want to display first, should always be called index.html. From that point on, you can then name your pages anything you like, whether it be like about.html or search.html. It's totally up to you. All you have to remember is index.html is the first page that is loaded automatically. Okay? So now let's look a little bit into the code we created. I know I told you not to worry about it in the previous tutorial, so now let's examine it a little bit. Okay, coding is a lot like a sandwich, okay? It's got the bread, it's got the lettuce, it's got the meat, and everything is kind of brought together inside of the bread. So the way you have to remember that is anytime you start a tag, there must be an end tag to it. Pretty much 99% of code in HTML has a start tag like this and an end tag to it. And if you look at this structure, you can see it pretty clearly. HTML starts here, ends here. The head starts here and ends here. The body starts here and ends here. And as you notice in Notepad++, when you put your cursor over it, it actually highlights to kind of show you where the tags start. And it's the same with this P tag that displays the hello world, the beginning and end. So why is this important to study and know? Because that's how you're going to know exactly how to code the element you're trying to code. So in this example, we did a simple paragraph and we put hello world. But let's say I left this off. How is the code going to know when this paragraph ends? It doesn't anymore. And that's where a lot of sites tend to break, is you forget to end the tag. So it's very important whenever you write a tag to make sure that you end it and put your content or data in between the two tags. Now, the standard setup for an HTML website is like this. You have your HTML declaration, and it usually encompasses everything to do with the website. Next, you have your head tag, and your head tag is basically where you're going to make declarations that aren't necessarily going to show up on the website, but could contain important information like the description of the website or links to CSS style sheets and pages, or there's pretty much endless amounts of data that goes inside the head tag. But all you really need to know is this is where information is put that you do not necessarily display on the website, but can help drive the website, whether it be the style or different scripts being used. And then following the head tag, we have the body tag. And inside the body tag is pretty much the meat of your sandwich. This is where the actual content is going to be inputted so that it can be displayed on the website. So in the previous tutorial, we took the body tag and then in between it, we put a paragraph tag to display hello world. Now, if I was to just take this p tag and duplicate it multiple times like this, and then hit Control S for save and refresh the page, you can see what happens. It's starting to display the information. So we're going to leave pretty much at that right now because I think that's enough to take in. But just look at the basis of how an HTML is created, and then in the next tutorial we'll go through what you add to the head tag and then various types of text tags you can utilize inside the body to get the information displayed the way you want.